If you thought missing your morning coffee was catastrophic, hold on to your hats because our species has been and skirted disasters way bigger than a caffeine crash. So in this video, we're gonna dive into the 5 moments when humanity nearly got booted off the planet's guest list. Number 1, the Toba blow up. Picture this, you're enjoying a regular day 74,000 years ago, hunting, gathering, maybe doodling on a cave wall, when suddenly, kaboom! The Toba supervolcano in present-day Indonesia thinks it's a good time to throw the mother of all tantrums. Now, this wasn't just a pop decor kind of eruption, no. Toba went full-scale diva, giving us the grandest volcanic spectacle in the last 25 million years. Imagine every fireworks show you've ever seen and then crank it up by about 1,000,000 notches. So, what's the fallout of such an epic earthy sneeze? Welcome to the volcanic winter, nature's version of turning off the heat and then leaving the freezer door open. This resulted in a drop in global temperatures and, rumor has it, a decade-long volcanic winter. Some ski enthusiasts might have been happy, if not for the looming threat of extinction. But here's where things got dicey for Team Human. The Toba eruption might have caused a population bottleneck. This theory suggests that our entire human race was whittled down to a staggeringly low number. Some estimates say as few as several thousand. Now, to put that in perspective, that's like saying the whole human race could have had a gathering in a particularly large cave, or for the modern-minded, squished into a single subway train during rush hour. But here's the twist. We survived. Talk about resilience. Our ancestors endured this chilly setback, repopulated, and went on to create all the wonders and bloopers of human civilization. Number 2, Ice Age. Let's wind the clock back. Way back to when our ancestors' daily concerns weren't Wi-Fi speeds or spotty cell reception, but rather, is that a mammoth in my backyard? Yep, we're talking about the Ice Age. If Earth had a moody teenage phase, the Ice Age was it. About 110,000 to 12,000 years ago, our planet went all out and rocked the frosty look. Glaciers the size of continents, check. Woolly mammoths donning shaggy coats looking like rock stars, double check. The planet's dramatic switch to burn mode wasn't just for giggles. Massive sheets of ice made a considerable chunk of the globe feel like the inside of a freezer. And humans, ever the adaptable bunch, had to think on their frostbitten feet. Options on the table? Evolve, migrate, or maybe, just maybe, invent the first ever cup of hot cocoa. The cool episode in our history, pun absolutely intended, presented challenges. Sure, food became scarcer, requiring our ancestors to innovate. New tools, new hunting methods, and perhaps the inaugural snowball fight emerged. And when the cold got too much, some of our enterprising ancestors just packed up and said, let's find someplace warmer, like anywhere. So against the icy odds, humans prevailed. They hunted, they gathered, they cozy up in caves, and they told the stories that would lay the groundwork for all civilizations to come. Number 3, near misses in space. You know those days when you're walking down the street and a rogue pigeon just dive bombs a tad too close for comfort? Well, Earth knows that feeling, except instead of pigeons, it's massive space rocks and searing comets. Our big blue marble floating in the vast expanses of space has had its share of close shaves, and while we're all worried about spilling our morning coffee, Earth's up there playing 3D dodgeball with celestial objects. Take the Tunguska event for example. In 1908, a chunk of space rock thought it'd be fun to throw a surprise party in Siberia. And by party, I mean a massive explosion that flattened 2,000 square kilometers of forest. But the universe, ever the unpredictable jester, wasn't done with his party tricks. There have been numerous other asteroids and comets that have skimmed past our planet. Some came closer than our own satellites. And here's a fun bit. Most of these sneaky space visitors aren't even detected until they passed. That's like realizing you had a piece of spinach in your teeth after the date's over. But why all the close calls? Well, space is a busy place. It's filled with roaming asteroids, stray comets, and cosmic debris, all doing the cha-cha in the cosmic dance floor of our solar system. And Earth, being in the prime spot near the sun, sometimes has to do the sidestep. Number 4, the Bubonic Plague. The 14th century in Europe was marked by significant advances in art, trade, and culture. Yet it is often overshadowed by one of the most catastrophic events in human history, the Bubonic Plague, also known as the Black Death. Originated in Asia, the disease spread rapidly along trade routes and reached the Crimea in 1343. By 1347, it had made its way to Europe via Italian merchant ships. The virus found a perfect conduit in the fleas that infested black rats, a common sight in European towns and cities. The symptoms of the Bubonic Plague were severe and unmistakable. unmistakable. Victims experienced painful swollen lymph nodes, or buboes, from which the disease gets its name. This was often accompanied by fever, chills, and weakness. With no known cure, the disease had a mortality rate of over 50% and it ravaged communities indiscriminately. The societal implications were profound, as the disease spread relentlessly across continents. It decimated populations. Europe alone lost an estimated 25 million people, roughly a third of its population. Finally, nuclear war. In the shadowed corridors of the Cold War, the Cuban Missile Crisis emerges as a defining moment, a chilling dance between the United States and the Soviet Union that held the world on the brink of nuclear annihilation. The stage was set with the failed Bay of Pigs invasion in 1961, an attempt by US-backed Cuban exiles to overthrow Fidel Castro's regime. The Soviets, viewing this as a direct threat in their backyard, responded by placing nuclear missiles in Cuba, a mere stone's throw from the US coastline. On a fateful day in October 1962, American reconnaissance unveiled the Soviets' gambit. Photographs taken by U-2 spy plane revealed missile sites sprouting up across Cuban landscape. President Kennedy, confronted with this provocation, convened his closest advisors. The debates were intense, with voices clamoring for everything from military strike to peaceful negotiation. In the end, the world watched as Kennedy opted for a naval blockade, preventing any further arms from reaching Cuban shores. As ships neared a possible collision point, the tension was palpable. It was in this electric atmosphere that Soviet Premier Khrushchev extended an olive branch. His proposal? The Soviets would remove their missiles from Cuba if the US promised not to invade the island nation and also dismantle its missiles in Turkey. After fraught negotiations, an agreement crystallized on October 28th. The missiles in Cuba would be dismantled, the US would quietly remove its missiles from Turkey, and more importantly, promise not to invade Cuba. This period also gave birth to the Moscow-Washington hotline, a direct link between the superpowers, ensuring that hopefully such a crisis would never occur. So it seems our species has a flair for the dramatic. We've danced on the edge more times than a tightrope walker with buttered feet. Yet here we are, resilient and ever adapting, proving that while we may have had some close calls, you simply can't keep a good Homo sapien down. Unless it's Monday morning before coffee, of course. So until we meet again in another tantalizing tale of mystery history with a touch of comedy, stay curious, everybody.